I don't have to tell you that Clannad is a masterpiece when it comes to the rom-com space, but let's be for real here. None of this shit works without my boy Sunohara. Seriously, without Sunohara in the mix, I firmly believe Clannad wouldn't have hit the same, and I can easily prove that in this video. Whether you realize it or not, my boy is the lifeline that keeps the pacing smooth and the vibes balanced. Matter of fact, if you laughed at any comedic moment in Clannad, and I know your bitch ass did, chances are Sunohara was the star player in that scene. Whenever he's on screen, he never feels out of place. And the second he's gone, you start to miss him. Homeboy lives rent-free in your head 24/7. Even if you're someone who thinks Sunohara is controversial or his antics go too far, I'd argue that's a moot point. The thing is, every time Sunohara pulls some wild, questionable stunt, he's immediately punished for it. The show never rewards his bad behavior, and that said punishment is half the comedy. If I need to show you what I mean, just look at a character like Kyo, one of the best characters in the series. Whenever Sunohara does some dumbass shit, my girl Kyo punishes him by launching heavy-ass books at his face like she's aiming for a world record, following up with a brutalizing kick for good measure. Tomoyo plays a part in this too. She's out here dishing out 100-hit combos, leaving his face looking like an abstract painting. Even Misai plays a part in this by manhandling him into next week, like he owes her money, to which he probably does. That's the beauty of his humor. If the initial joke doesn't land because it feels too bold or offbeat, you still get the payoff of watching him get absolutely massacred for it. It's a win-win situation. But here's the thing, Sunohara isn't just there to be the butt of the joke. His antics actually push the plot forward. A lot of character development in Clannad happens because of Sunohara's chaos. He forces interactions that wouldn't have happened otherwise, breaking down emotional barriers and getting characters to be more honest with each other once his role is complete. He stirs the pot in just the right way, creating situations that lead to heartfelt moments, genuine connections, and emotional breakthroughs. Need more proof? Well, let me cook some more. One of the best examples of Sunohara being a core component of other characters' development is his dynamic with Tomoyo. The first time we even see Tomoyo, Okazaki and Sunohara are watching her effortlessly wipe the floor with a group of rowdy students from another school who were screwing around on the field. Right away, Sunohara gets a dumbass idea, because of course he does, and decides to track her down after school to confront her. He's convinced there's no way a girl could beat a bunch of guys in a real fight, so he jumps to the genius conclusion that she must have paid them off to make herself look good in front of the entire student body. Obviously, Tomoyo is beyond annoyed, as she should be, and decides to taunt Sunohara into swinging first. He takes the bait and predictably gets absolutely bodied. Like goddamn. From that moment on, Sunohara keeps picking fights with her, and every single time, Tomoyo hands him a flawless, no-damage victory. It gets to the point where even Okazaki starts helping her beat the shit out of him, making these scenes even funnier. It's like a running gag that never gets old. But here's the thing. These moments aren't just hilarious, they actually serve a bigger purpose. Sunohara unintentionally becomes the bridge that connects Tomoyo and Okazaki. Without him instigating all this chaos, Tomoyo and Okazaki wouldn't have a reason to interact. He's the catalyst that brings them together, giving them the space to develop a deeper connection. Even more importantly, Sunohara helps kickstart Tomoyo's character arc. Through these interactions, she starts to open up to Okazaki about her struggles, how she's trying to act more like a proper girl and less like a bully who terrorized students, reflecting on her past and how she feels about it. Without Sunohara's relentless antics, there'd be no reason for Tomoyo and Okazaki to cross paths like this, no foundation for their growing bond, and no spark to ignite Tomoyo's personal growth. So yeah, Sunohara isn't just comic relief. He's low-key the reason half these characters even get the chance to grow in the first place. My boy Sunohara isn't just comedy gold. He's also a major player in pushing Nagisa's character arc forward, believe it or not, and he knows what he's doing too, cause he's an absolute genius. When the drama club was struggling to recruit members thanks to the student council blocking them, Sunohara jumped in with his usual, let's call it creative problem solving. His first plan? Beat up the student council president. Obviously, Nagisa shot that idea down immediately. So, On to his next brilliant plan, recruiting Kyo and Ru to help. This not only gave us more hilarious Sunohara-instigated moments, but it also pulled Kyo and Ru into the club's orbit. It gave them a reason to stick around, eventually leading to them joining, despite them not wanting to at first. More importantly, though, it gave Nagisa the support she needed to start building her confidence when it came to talking to people. Sunohara's chaotic energy basically glued this group together, giving them an excuse to constantly hang out and grow closer. But Sunohara isn't just there to stir the pot. He genuinely cares about Nagisa as a friend, and one of the best examples of this is during the fight for a club advisor. Nagisa needed an advisor to make the drama club official, but the choir club had already asked the same teacher first. This put both clubs in a standoff. Things got worse when one of the choir club members started harassing Nagisa, slipping cruel notes into her desk to pressure her into giving up on the drama club. Sunohara wasn't having any of that. He went out of his way to figure out who was behind the notes and track down the culprit, a member of the choir club. When they confronted her, Sunohara was ready to handle it himself, but Nagisa insisted on taking the lead. What followed was one of the most powerful moments in the arc. The choir club girl gave a heart-wrenching sob story about her friend Shino, a girl who used to love playing the violin but lost that ability after a tragic accident. Shino could still sing, though, and the choir club became her new passion. The girl begged Nagisa to back down, saying taking the advisor from the choir club would be like stealing Shino's last chance to pursue something she loved. Nagisa, being the kind soul she is, started to falter. And that's when the goat Sunohara stepped in. Loudly, unapologetically, and with his whole chest, he argued that people with handicaps shouldn't automatically get their way just because of their situation. Everyone deserves a fair shot, no matter what they're dealing with. And then, in peak Sunohara fashion, he proposed a ridiculous but brilliant solution: a basketball match. He wanted to prove that hard work and determination matter more than physical limitations. Interestingly enough, the game wasn't just a random side event. It was packed with meaning and character development. Sunohara, Okazaki, and Kyo formed a team to take on the school's basketball team. Through this one basketball game, it accomplished quite a bit. Okazaki grew as a character. He had to face his own handicap, his injured shoulder that ended his basketball days, head on. He pushed through the pain and proved to himself that he wasn't defined by his past, and because of that, he made the winning shot despite his handicap, proving Sunohara's point. Nagisa got her club advisor. Without Sunohara's meddling, Nagisa probably would have given up, but his stubborn determination and absurd basketball plan gave her the chance to stand her ground and win. And then there's Sunohara. He proved that he's more than a goofball. His loudmouth personality might not be admirable on the surface, but underneath all that nonsense, he's a fiercely loyal, stand-up guy who will fight for his friends when it counts. And it's precisely these actions that the choir club gave up on the advisor after seeing Okazaki and the rest of the team win that match despite the odds. At the end of the day, Sunohara might seem like the comic relief sidekick, but he's so much more than that. He's the reason Nagisa found her confidence, Okazaki faced his trauma, and the friend group stayed tight-knit. He pretty much saved the drama club by himself. And speaking of Okazaki, you can't deny that Okazaki and Sunohara are the best duo in the entire series. Their comedic chemistry alone carries a huge chunk of Clannad's runtime, and they bounce off each other so effortlessly. Okazaki, especially, has a talent for escalating Sunohara's idiotic antics into something even more hilarious, usually at Sunohara's expense, and it never gets old. But beyond the comedy, Sunohara's role in Okazaki's life runs way deeper. Honestly, he might be the only reason Okazaki didn't completely fumble his relationship with Nagisa. There's a key point in the show where Okazaki starts doubting his potential place in Nagisa's life, or more specifically, the family bond she brings into his life. The family bond he lacks. When Nagisa's family invites him on a picnic, Okazaki hesitates, unsure if he should go. So, where does he run to? Sunohara's dorm, of course. Sunohara, in his own way, becomes the voice of reason during this time. He points out that skipping the picnic would greatly disappoint Nagisa, but Okazaki brushes it off as he thinks that Nagisa has grown enough as a person to not think too much of it. That's when Sunohara hits him with a harder truth. The only reason Nagisa's grown more confident and started improving herself is because of Okazaki's support. If he bails now, he's not just hurting her confidence, but he's sending a message that he doesn't care about her as much as she thinks he does, and will end up really hurting her at some point, even if he doesn't mean to send that message. Sunohara doesn't sugarcoat it either. He lays it out bluntly with this gem of a line. First you run away from your dad's house, then you run away from Nagisa's house too. Now you come running here expecting me to put you up? It's one of those rare, serious Sunohara moments. The kind that hits harder precisely because it comes from him. He smacks some sense into Okazaki, and it works. Okazaki gets his head straight and leaves to meet up with Nagisa. When you really think about it, Sunohara is the only reason they end up together. Without him calling Okazaki out, he probably would have kept running from his feelings and from Nagisa. So yeah, Sunohara is basically the savior of the series. He's a big reason why these characters get to shine as brightly as they do. Oftentimes, it's at the expense of his own body, but his role is a pivotal one that drives the series to success. Without him, the show wouldn't have the same heart, humor, or emotional payoff. He's the glue holding the cast together, whether they appreciate it or not. But yeah, that's about it. Like and subscribe for similar content. But past that, I'm gone.